Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. Welcome to my channel. We're going to be doing all things guitar here. We're going to discuss a lot of different styles, different techniques. Today we're going to learn the parts of our guitar. So, it's important to know what some of this stuff is called. So if I'm ever saying, hey, pick close to the bridge, what does that mean? Is there a bridge on this thing? Yeah, actually there is. It's this part down here. We call this the bridge of the guitar. So we're going to kind of go over the parts of the guitar today just so you know what everything is and we're talking about it. This type of guitar is called a dreadnought. This is a Martin D28. Okay, this piece of wood right here, sometimes called the soundboard or the top wood or the face of the guitar. This is where the sound actually comes from. The strings vibrate, builds a standing wave inside this body and gets this wood resonating, and then that actually projects the sound off. So this is a pretty important part of the guitar right here. Now we also have the sides and the back. That's what we'd call this part of the guitar here. Okay, and then this is the neck, this whole thing here, up to this, which is called the head or the headstock. Okay, on the neck, the front of the neck, we have the fingerboard. Okay, this is also called the fretboard, and that's because these little metal lines that you see here, these are called frets. And those are very important. We're going to squeeze down our frets on our strings, and that's actually how we play the guitar. That changes the sound. So we have our body here with our face, our top wood, we have our neck, we have our head, we have our frets, fretboard. Over here we have our tuning mechanisms. So the strings go up through these things here, these posts, and then we use these to adjust the tuning, how high or low the strings sound. And this ends them right here. This is where the string length ends. This is called the nut. Right here, this piece. And then, so the string really vibrates all the way from here, all the way to the other nut here. This one's called the bridge nut. So you have another one right here on the bridge we mentioned earlier, this piece of wood right here. And these are called the bridge pins. These hold our strings down. So when we change our strings, we put them in those holes and pop the pin down on them, and then we run them through the posts and tighten them up to pitch. So we'll talk about how to tune at another point in time. We also have the pick guard here. That's what this is called, just so you don't scratch up the guitar too much with the pick. Mine's getting a couple of love nicks up here and elsewhere, which is okay by me, but that's what this thing is. This is called the rosette, which I will show you on a different guitar, has different designs. On classical guitar, they're more intricate than on this particular guitar, but it's right by the sound hole, which is what we call the hole in the middle of the face of the guitar. Okay, and that's about it. I have a strap button here, which I installed. I have another one here, which usually comes with the guitar. Mine has a little bit of a different one, so you can actually plug it in. I have a K and K pickup beneath the bridge here. So that's about it. That's our parts of the guitar. Now I'm going to show you a different type of guitar. Now we're going to learn about this guitar. This is a nylon string guitar. It's often called a classical guitar because this is the type of guitar we use in classical music, and it's an older type than the dreadnought we use. The dreadnought with steel strings is a different design that has a different bracing under that can support the tension caused by the steel strings. So this one has a very nice sound though, and quite a difference in sound as well. Close to the bridge, it sounds way different than up by the neck. Okay, so oftentimes we grow our nails to play nylon. Sometimes you break your nails on the steel string, but on nylon you can grow your nails, because typically with classical style we would use fingers. So we'll get into all that when we talk about style and technique, but now we're just going to learn about the names of the parts of the guitar, which are basically the same on this. So I don't have any strap buttons like I had on my other one, but I still have the bridge. We don't have bridge pins anymore. Typically you take the nylon and you make little knots in here, and you tie the strings on rather than the ball end type that they use in steel strings. But we still have our face of our guitar on the body. We have the rosette here. Now in a classical guitar, the rosettes are usually more ornamental, and I'm told that they never make this the same pattern on two guitars. I'm told they're all slightly unique, so I think that's a very cool piece of art to incorporate into our instrument. So that's the rosette right by the soundboard. We have our fretboard, or fingerboard, whatever you like to call it. The frets on the fretboard, of course, attached to the neck. The headstock. This one has slightly different types of tuners. Before we had tuning posts that we would put in that kind of came out of our guitar. These ones go the other direction into our guitar and we wind them around, but it's the same principle. You put the string through it, you tighten it up to pitch, and voila, you're making music. Okay, so that's a nylon string guitar. Next we'll learn about the electric guitar. Welcome back. Now we're going to learn about the parts of an electric guitar. So very similar. You can see it's still got a body, neck, headstock, tuning pegs, strings, frets, the nut. We don't really have a bridge nut because our bridge is different. This is an adjustable bridge on this particular type of electric guitar, but they're different setups. This one you can move the bridge up and down this way. You can also move the individual saddles. So the saddles now sort of replace the bridge nut that we had before. They each have their own sort of mini nut, if you'd like to think about it like that, which you can adjust, move them up and down. That kind of changes your intonation. I like to not mess with those unless I really need to. You know, if you feel like going for it, go for it. Okay, so the main thing is we don't have a sound hole. This is actually a solid piece of wood, and the body is almost irrelevant at this point. People like them for different ways they feel or ways they look, but they actually make guitars that are basically just the neck and the pickups. Since the pickups are what helps the sound and not the body, we don't really need that. So these pickups are here and here. We call this one the neck pickup because it's closer to the neck of the guitar. We call this one the bridge pickup because it's closer to the bridge of the guitar. Okay, so those are the main terms to know. Sometimes there's a third one. You'll have a middle one in there. Sometimes you'll only have one. It varies quite a bit, but we're going to talk about the kind of guitar that I have here. Now we also have this toggle switch, and that tells you which one of these pickups we're using. So if I have it up here, close to my nose, that means I'm using this one, the neck pickup. If I have it down here, that means I'm using this pickup, the bridge pickup. If I have it right in the middle, that means it's actually using both of them. Okay, so on my guitar, this is modeled after a Les Paul. They even wrote the word rhythm above the neck pickup, and then they wrote treble on that one. So what they're sort of thinking is like rhythm guitar, lead guitar, I think, which is sort of interesting that they gave you that suggestion. I think that's more preferential, so I wouldn't get too locked into that. If your guitar tells you that, we'll get more into which pickups to use, and which ones will be appropriate for certain styles as we get into it. But just now, just so you know how they work. When it's up, you're using this one. When it's down, you're using this one. When it's in the middle, you're using both. Okay, and that corresponds to the controls as well. So if I have this down, I can spin these knobs up here and they don't do anything. But when I spin these ones down here, they do. So this one over here on my guitar, yours might be different, but this one is volume. This one over here is tone. Mine's a little dirty. You can hear the pots. Sometimes if you don't clean out your pots, they kind of have that crackling sound. So I'm not going to touch that one too much, but my volume knob is nice and good. Okay, so that's all down here. Now if I adjust this back up, now I spin those same two knobs, nothing happens to my sound because it's only listening to this top pickup here. So I can increase my volume with that one again, or I can change my tone with this one. I like that pickup. I think it has a nice warmer tone. So generally you'll find different things that you like about them. I think that this one gives you a little bit more warmth, this one gives you a little more bite, but again, that's preferential. It's going to depend on what song you're playing, what style you're playing, and you're going to want to experiment a good amount with that. But this is just a very basic lesson to understand what these knobs even do, okay? So that's really it. Everything else we looked at is pretty much the same as the other two types of guitars that we have checked out. Alright, well now that we know all of the names of the parts of our guitars, that will give us the vocabulary needed to communicate, and we can get on to learning our first songs and how to actually play the guitar. I'll see you in the next video.